I think, gentlemen, I will yield myself the balance of our time. At the beginning of this markup, I said that this is replacing the American system of government with a European-type system of government. That was unfair. That was unfair to Europe. This budget would actually be in violation of the European Maastricht Treaty. This budget proposes, using your own numbers, that our deficit never even gets below 4% of GDP, which would put you in violation of the European Maastricht Treaty. So this doesn't even conform to European standards. My colleagues here are saying that this budget fulfills the promise of the president's budget. That is true. It does do that. Yet to lure votes from our moderate members of the Democratic Party, they're trying to disguise it. They're being told that this budget produces slightly lower deficits and that it does not include the cap and trade, that it does not put us on a path to nationalizing health care. But we've just learned today that that's the very intention of these reserve funds. So what does this budget have to deliver to produce these lower deficits? Let's review a couple of items. Beginning next year, it will increase taxes for 26 million Americans by making them subject to the alternative minimum tax. It will end the Make-Work Pay credit in 2010 that the president proposed to make permanent. Said so last night. That's his intention. The president's proposed increases in Pell Grants, LIHEAP, and the new college program are not in this budget, but we're told the reserve funds will restore them. And the president's proposed increases for funding of a slew of new mandatory programs aren't here, but we're told they're going to reappear. Before you can utter the 4 words that you will say will fix all of this new spending, pay as you go, let's review PAYGO's actual record. Thankfully, more than 20 million taxpayers, thankfully for these more than 20 million taxpayers, we fixed the AMT for the past 8 years, and we didn't use PAYGO as an excuse to raise their taxes. In the 2-year period of the 110th Congress, the House exempted more than $420 billion in higher deficits from PAYGO. That means they whitewashed or set aside $420 billion of PAYGO. And when PAYGO was actually met, it was twisted into a pretzel. I won't go through all the gimmicks that were used, but a shift in corporate estimated taxes was used 25 times in the last Congress to, in spirit, or at least in letter, meet PAYGO. If you really want to know what's in this budget, you need to focus on 2 provisions: reconciliation instructions and the 17 reserve funds, which we've just heard from all of our colleagues attempt to fulfill the full promise of the Obama budget. This budget includes reconciliation instructions to the very committees that have jurisdiction over cap and trade, taxes, health care, and our guaranteed student lending program. The majority can say till they're blue in the face that these reconciliation instructions can't be used to jam through the House and the Senate these programs, but there's nothing that precludes that from exactly happening. Look, just think about it this way. We're going to basically transform the entire federal government in the biggest sweeping transformation since the New Deal, and we'll do it with 20 hours of debate and no amendments in the Senate, and we'll do it with even less debate here in the House just this year. These reserve funds are just fancy words for saying we're going to increase a lot of taxes and spending. Now, for the conservative Democrats who think they've achieved a victory by scaling back this budget in paper, that it doesn't tax as much, doesn't borrow as much, the fact is this resolution provides the very clear path to implement the president's entire program, and we've just heard our members acknowledge that. I want to make a plea to a special select audience. I want to ask my friends, the Blue Dog Democrats, do you really want all this government? Do you want your fingerprints on this massive and unprecedented growth in our national debt? You hold the cards. You have the votes that can make the difference in this. You can stop this. I'm asking you, join us to stop this fiscal train wreck. Join us to protect our children from an inferior standard of living, from a crushing burden of debt and taxes. Let's defeat this budget, and then let's work together to ensure the real fiscal response that we so desperately need. Now, I'm going to say something that I've been told is somehow and sometimes controversial and offensive. I believe America is an exceptional nation. It's exceptional. It's the greatest nation on earth, and it's the greatest nation on the planet. It has done more to bring prosperity, wealth, and growth and lift people out of poverty than any other nation in the history of this planet. We're a very strong nation in so many ways. We are not the kind of a nation that's going to be defeated from outside forces. We are not the kind of a nation that's going to be defeated by some other country's military. But we are the kind of a nation that if we don't watch it, we could defeat ourselves from within. That's exactly what this budget proposes to do, in my opinion. This president, this budget, as Mr. Etheridge said, the Obama Spratt mark, proposes to increase our national debt by more than all prior 43 presidents combined. We're going to double the national debt within 5.5 years and triple it in 10 years. We're going to impose a nearly $2 trillion tax increase on our economy, on everyone, in the middle of a recession. And we're going to do this because we think that the government has all of the answers. We think that industrial policy bureaucrats, healthcare bureaucrats, education bureaucrats, energy bureaucrats can better organize these affairs in our lives than we ourselves can. We disagree. We think the strength of this economy, the strength of this country, is its people, not its government. We are a people with a government, not the other way around. And we believe that this budget makes it the other way around. We believe the genius of this country is the entrepreneur. The person who gets up, works hard, takes risks, creates and innovates. That's the spirit of entrepreneurship that has brought the greatest display of prosperity ever in the history of mankind. And this puts it on the wrong track. So we're asking our friends on the other side of the aisle, those who claim fiscal conservatism, those who base their campaigns on controlling spending and controlling debt, we're asking you, check your conscience, check your mind, look at your gut, follow your heart. Help us defeat this unprecedented taxing, borrowing, and spending spree. And then let's get back together and fix these fiscal problems in this country, which this budget exacerbates and makes much, much worse. We know both parties don't corner the virtue on fiscal conservatism. Yes, Republicans clearly made mistakes in that area. Let's accept all of that. Let's not make them worse. Let's not compound these problems. Let's fix them. Unfortunately, this budget is the worst budget I have ever seen come to this committee before. It is the most irresponsible budget. I've got 3 kids. They're 4, 5, and 7 years old. When I get home on Friday, I want to look my kids in the eyes and tell them I did the right thing for their future. By voting for this budget, I will know I can say that with a straight face. With that, Chairman, I yield.
Gentleman's time has expired. We have